what the Deputy Chief Justice put out. Now, it's on your screen now. He says, I can confirm that the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokono, has filed another court case, this time at the ECOWAS Community Court in Abuja, Nigeria, against the Republic. It goes on to say, in the case, which was filed on July 4, Her Ladyship repeated the same allegations of human rights violations which are currently pending determination before our Supreme Court and also before our High Court in respect of the ongoing removal processes. Essentially, Her Ladyship argues that by her suspension, she has effectively been removed from her official capacity without a final determination, impairing her right to function and serve in a position she was constitutionally appointed to. And those are the specific words that the Deputy Chief Justice put out on social media about the Chief Justice taking Ghana to the ECOWAS Community Court. Let's get some legal perspectives on this. Joining us now on Zoom is a private legal practitioner, Martin Kwebu. Mr. Kwebu, good evening. Thank you for joining us. To start with, are you surprised that the Chief Justice has decided not to go down without a fight and now escalating the case to the ECOWAS Community Court?
Yes, I was a bit surprised because, in terms of the facilities and, let's say, fora available to her, I didn't for 1 second imagine that she had her sights set on the ECOWAS court. So to that extent, I was surprised. But in terms of the level of reputational damage it brings to us, it didn't shock me because we've already seen the worst. The press conference that opened the Pandora's box. I mean, several boundaries broken. That one, it looks like it would take something extra to be able to break the level of damage that press conference did to our democracy, right? Yes. So that's it, basically.
Right. And on the back of that, there are those who are arguing that probably she may have exhausted or not exhausted the local court processes. Do you think that it's still within her remit that although we have some cases that she's already sent to the court still pending, she decides to go to the ECOWAS court to seek redress?
To be clear, you will say that we always say that to every rule, there's an exception. To every rule, there's an exception. This is not the first time a citizen is gone to the ECOWAS court when they haven't exhausted local remedies. Sometimes, if you can prove that the local remedies are illusory, that is to say they are just on paper, but not practically available because of many reasons, political reasons, etc., yes, they would admit the case. So you see that, remember, even look at one case, the Ejapa deal that Martin Amidu shut down. Yes, the CSOs in Ghana didn't go to any Ghanaian court. They went straight to the ECOWAS court. Of course, eventually they lost. But I'm saying that you see that they made the attempt. And then just recently, was it Shatawa? No, the Togo, prohibited organization, Papavi's people, the Togoland Congress people. Yes, some of them went to the ECOWAS court and you see that they won. Yes, the Togoland Congress, some victims went there and they won. They didn't come to the Ghanaian courts and exhaust everything. So it always depends on the strength of your case. If the case is compelling, it will be admitted. If it's not compelling, then it will be shut down by the ECOWAS court.
Right. So where do we proceed from here? And clearly, does that mean that because Ghana is a member of the ECOWAS, the decision, whether it goes in her favor or not, is binding on us as a country, which, for instance, we could have to now unsuspend her suspension?
Yes. So if they find that we are wrong, okay, that's to say that the suspension that His Excellency did is not according to law, it doesn't pass muster, etc. Of course, then that means that being members and being a decision, listen, we being members of the court, yes, that's a court, a decision binding on us. Of course, in extreme circumstances, you will be you, etc. Ghana is a member of the court. So naturally, if we are not happy, we also know what further steps to take. But when the decision comes, it's not now for us to pick and choose that, no, we will not accept this. In terms of the optics, that's public relations generally, yes, it would cost her a lot, yes, because if she were to lose before the Ghanaian court went into the case, yes, people would say, oh, if she's lost there, she would automatically lose here. But it doesn't follow that way. It doesn't follow. It all depends on the assessment by each court. You know, human beings are different. You can have one panel see it different from another panel, depending on their philosophical orientation. So when you come into the law, you hear, they will say some lawyers and judges are literalists, right? Then you hear that some others follow the purposive school, okay? Yes, so different name nomenclature. It's not as if they are totally distinct with Chinese walls between these various schools. No, a lot of the time, even the nomenclature are wrong. But what we mean is that in nature, you see some people are conservatives and others are liberal.
Right. Counsel, thank you for your thoughts as always. Martin Pebo is a private legal practitioner.
In more news tonight, former Chief Executive Officer of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, Abdul Wahab Hanan, has been released from Iyoko custody after 2 weeks in detention. He's been granted 60 million cedi bail with 2 sureties. The former Chief Executive Officer was arrested on Wednesday, June 25, together with his wife, of allegations of financial misconduct during his tenure. His wife was released earlier on a 30 million cedi bail. Although he fulfilled the bail requirements, he was detained in custody for several days, prompting criticism from the NPP, which described the bail conditions as excessive and unjust.
Now let's take you to the House of Legislature because there was a lot of drama there which unfolded in the House on Tuesday when the majority leader sought to block the minority leader from asking a question using the dispatch box. An enraged minority caucus litigated the issue, forcing the Speaker to suspend sitting to engage leaders on both sides of the House. After emotional exchanges, the Speaker gave a ruling that barred members of Parliament from using the dispatch box to ask questions in their respective capacities.
The majority leader, to you, to deny me the opportunity to use the dispatch box to ask my question is not founded on any rule. Mr. Speaker, I've combed through the rules where the standing orders intends to make something mandatory. It says so in express terms. Mr. Speaker, there is no such express provision that when you file a question and the minister is here to answer, the member must necessarily stand in his place before asking. More so when the question is in the name of the leader of a caucus. Mr. Speaker, I have said it time without number that this dispatch box is for this side of the House. This dispatch box to your left is our dispatch box. Leaders, the 5 of us, including any member on our side, that with our leave, with the indulgence of Speaker, and so granted leave.
So, Speaker, I'm not the first person or the first leader to defy you and say I will not accept. Just last week, when I read the business statement, they asked questions, and it was getting elongated and time wasting. You ruled that business statement period should end and we should proceed to commence public business. He led his side. They defied all the rules of this house. They stood, they stamped their feet, they made noise, and made it impossible for you to run this house until you change your decision and allow them to continue asking questions. He did that. He did that. Today, he thinks that by me also saying that I will not allow that to happen, I am intimidating you, or I am setting the agenda. I've made it very clear, Mr. Speaker, that if his style of leadership is anything to go by, I also have men behind me and women behind me. And I'm saying that we must all learn to give in. We can't run a system in which we will never give in. We can't run a system like that. So I'm saying that enough is enough. And I'm saying that today, this side of the house will not allow him to go to the dispatch box and ask his questions.
Let's now cross over live to Parliament and speak to Christian Yali, our correspondent over there. Christian, thank you so much for your time. How was this issue eventually resolved? What was the Speaker's ruling?
Exactly, Portia. So what we know is that the First Deputy Speaker convened a meeting with leaders of both sides of the House. They went into conclave after he suspended the House for nearly an hour to discuss this issue. Also because, however, the decision was arrived at, it would obviously inform future instances and how the speakers would rule in such matters. And upon heated exchanges when they resumed sitting, the Speaker, the First Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahiafo, ruled that any member of Parliament who asks a question in his or her capacity as a representative of his or her constituency ought to rise in his or her seat, wherever they are, to ask the question, but not proceed to walk all the way to where the dispatch box is to ask the question. And as it were, the dispatch box has been, reserved solely to be used by ministers and even leaders of the House when they are giving any ceremonial speech or statement in their capacity as leaders of the House, but not in their representative capacity. So such was the ruling that the Speaker, who was presiding, the First Deputy Speaker, arrived at, after which proceedings resumed for some urgent questions and oral questions to be asked the Trade Minister. Portia.
In today's proceedings. Yeah, Christian, I was asking what else came up in today's proceedings in the House.
All right, so just like I was almost starting with, the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosua-Jare, was programmed to answer some 2 urgent questions and a number of oral questions from members of Parliament. And at length, she has been answering questions about the national agro-industry policy, which she spoke about and even mentioned, for instance, that government on July 24th this year would convene a national dialogue with all stakeholders to ensure that that policy receives all the maximum input for it to become effective. She has also been speaking about the Wali watermelon factory, for instance, which she mentions that that factory, as of now, is not ready to even produce concentrate not to even talk about other materials that are to be produced out of it. She answers questions at length about even the AGOA, which is about to be suspended somewhere in September, and how Ghana is looking at addressing alternative means of promoting trade and industry. Right now, just a while ago, the members of parliament were arguing whether it was necessary to consider the fisheries and aquaculture bill under a certificate of urgency. The MPs are still locked up in some debate.
All right. Christian, thank you so much for your time. Christian Yali, our parliamentary correspondent.
Let's stay on issues of politics, and the New Patriotic Party, NPP, says its Ablekuma North parliamentary candidate won the 2024 election and will not participate in a partial rerun set for July 11, 2025 in 19 polling stations. The NPP insists that their candidate, Nana Ekuya-Afriyie, won with a margin of 414 votes, and that the Electoral Commission's decision to rerun the election is unjust and lacks proper legal grounding.
The Ghana police is supposed to provide security. The court never said, go and do a rerun. The result said to go back to the court. Because what the Electoral Commission is doing is contempt of court.
The New Patriotic Party, NPP, cites a High Court ruling that only instructed the EC to complete collation and declare the winner, not to conduct a rerun. The NPP believes the EC does not have the authority to unilaterally decide on a rerun without a court order. The party argues that only 3 polling stations were outstanding and not 19, adding the EC's decision to expand the rerun is inconsistent and disrespectful to the court's directive. Addressing the media in a press conference addressed by the party General Secretary, Justin Kodia, he said they will not participate in the election rerun.
We're able to collate almost all the polling station results in Ablekuma North, leaving only 3. And therefore, even with respect to a letter that I wrote to the Electoral Commission on the 3rd of June, asking about the update of Ablekuma North, whereby the Electoral Commission confirmed to the New Patriotic Party that indeed it is left with only 3 polling stations. Again, the Electoral Commission, led by Deputy Commissioner Dr. Bosman, under oath, went to Parliament and also confirmed same that so far as they are aware and so far as they know, it is only left with 3 polling stations at Ablekuma North. And therefore, it comes as very shocking that the Electoral Commission, the inconsistency from the Electoral Commission is a shame. But for us in the New Patriotic Party, we remain resolute. And we know that our candidate, Nana Ekuya-Afriyie, won the elections with a margin of 414 votes.
And away from the NPP, the Supreme Court has adjourned the hearing of an application filed by Nana Appiah-Mensah, popularly known as Anamoah, seeking to halt his ongoing criminal trial at the High Court. The embattled Chief Executive Officer of the now-defunct Men's Gold Ghana Limited is requesting the Apex Court to stay proceedings at the High Court until a final decision is made on his appeal. A report by Lord Idoasari.
In May this year, the Court of Appeal unanimously dismissed Chief Executive Officer of defunct Men's Gold, Nana Appiah-Mensah's application to stay the High Court proceedings, where he was ordered to open his defense. Anamoah wanted the court to halt the trial pending the final determination of his appeal of the High Court's decision. Dissatisfied with the ruling, the agreed former Men's Gold CEO escalated the matter to the Supreme Court.
It doesn't end here. Okay. I mean, we still have the Supreme Court. So we just exercise all our rights, enshrined under the Constitution, the Republic, this beautiful Republic.
However, during a sitting on Tuesday, July 8, the court clerk announced that the matter had been adjourned to July 29. Nana Appiah-Mensah, and his two companies, Brew Marketing Consult and Men's Gold Ghana Limited, are facing 39 charges including selling gold without a license, operating a deposit-taking business without approval, defrauding by false pretenses, and money laundering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges and is currently out on bail. Anamoah responded to comparisons to Nana GRDA, who was recently incarcerated for defrauding some individuals.
Let's not give credit to that. Let's not give credit to that.
Okay.
We have a case to defend.
Yeah.
And we are doing absolutely just that. This is the beauty of constitutionalism. The very law that brings me here, compels me to come here each and every time that I'm about to. It's the same law that gives me the right to appeal, as and when, I have to. So basically, that is it.
Okay.
So let's not give no credence to this.
Lodi Rasai, TV3 News, Accra.
Organized labor is urging government to go beyond its current target of 1.7 million jobs under the proposed 24-hour economy policy. In an interview with our labor correspondent Daniel Opoku, leaders of the TUC and NAT stressed that job creation must be matched with strong support for local businesses, ensuring they are well financed to boost domestic production.
Last week, President John Dramani Mahama officially launched the much-anticipated 24-hour economy policy, an initiative aimed at boosting productivity by keeping viable businesses running around the clock. The policy proposed a 3-shift system with workers operating 8 hours per shift to ensure continuous operations across key sectors. It's expected to create at least 1.7 million jobs, primarily in areas such as pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, construction, and other critical industries. But while the ambition is high, organized labor says it should go even higher. The Trade Union Congress TUC and the Ghana National Association of Teachers NAT are urging government to look beyond the numbers. TUC Secretary General Joshua Ansa insists the focus must be on creating decent and sustainable jobs, not just hitting a target.
If even they're able to create that one, this is just the beginning. It's a new thing altogether. So if the government is able to create 1.7 million jobs, I think it will reduce the unemployment situation in this very country. But we are concerned as union about labor rights, the type of job that will be created by this type of 24-hour economy, and for which people are going to engage. You know what? Teaming youth outside, they all need jobs. But I think that we need better job for them so that they can also make life better for themselves.
He also stressed the need for a solid infrastructure plan, especially a stable and reliable power supply to support 24-hour operations nationwide.
The electricity must be 24-hour. Water must flow because there are some companies that use water throughout. Roads is very, very key in this. Then finally, financial security. Gone are the days, some few years back, you can see that some of the filling stations were closing or they were doing 24 hours. But because of armed robbery, they had to stop. So if we are resetting it, we are bringing it back, then we need to look at that section.
The General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Tanko Musa, says the policy must also prioritize boosting local production and food consumption.
Drugs Authority on board, the universities, those who are the food science and all that, they should tell us more about the food that we eat. And aside that, various schools, and also we must encourage them to be consuming what we produce and be producing what we eat, among other things. And I believe that our leaders should be seen, not
And away from the Labour front, President John Mahama has declared that all members of the newly inaugurated Gold Board Task Force will operate under strict oversight, including the mandatory use of body cameras during every operation. As part of sweeping accountability measures in Ghana's crackdown, the president is promising a whistleblower reward scheme as part of a broader crackdown on illegal mining.
President John Mahama officially on Tuesday launched the Gold Board Task Force, declaring that it is time for Ghanaians to take full ownership and control of the gold mining sector. The task force, according to government, is aimed at safeguarding the country's mineral wealth. At a ceremony held at the National Security Secretariat, President Mahama stated that Ghanaians should not only work in the mining industry but also own gold mines and lead gold production for export.
We believe that
Ghanaians must be the first beneficiaries of the natural resource blessing that God has given us. So gold is just one example. We're going to make sure that in other minerals, Ghanaians play a leading role in terms of our mineral exploitation. And the time has come for Ghanaians to also own gold mines and produce gold for export.
He revealed that since January, Ghana has earned approximately $5 billion from the export of 51.5 tons of gold, a significant inflow that has helped stabilize the Ghanaian cedi.
Cumulatively from January, exports from the small-scale sector reached 51.5 tons, which is valued at approximately $5 billion US.
He also introduced a whistleblower incentive scheme under which informants will receive 10% of the seized gold or its cash equivalent.
If you blow the whistle on anybody and gold is retrieved or cash is retrieved, you get 10% of the value of both the gold and the cash. Every member of the task force will operate under strict oversight. All officers will wear body cameras in every operation they undertake. Vehicles used by the task force will be GPS tracked and monitored in real time during operations.
On to some other stories now. From breakups to breakfast ideas, some users now turn to ChatGPT for answers to just about everything. What started as a tool to help with writing is now used as a search engine, sometimes preferred to traditional search tools like Google. But as more people hook on to ChatGPT, the big question is, are we over-relying on it and feeding it with too much information about ourselves? There is more in this report by Christabel Success Trevor.
Contemporary times, they say, when you need clarity, ask ChatGPT. But what happens when people go from asking for homework help to asking, was my ex gaslighting me? From classrooms to living rooms, ChatGPT, an artificial intelligence chatbot, is being used in ways its creators probably never imagined. Born in November 2022, ChatGPT is barely 3 years old. Created by tech company OpenAI, it was designed to help users write, summarize, and communicate better. But what began as a writing assistant has evolved into something far more personal.
The general human nature is very inquisitive. And when we find tools like these that are very easy to access, we're mostly looking at exploring it to the most like we can get out of it, you know. So the slightest thing, especially knowing that it's AI and having the mindset that it could literally help you do anything, we just end up tapping into that mentality and then just using it for anything.
Some users are feeding in real arguments and asking ChatGPT to spot manipulation, gaslighting, and even emotional breakdown. While some feel this is right, others do not.
I remember one time I was really going through some emotional listing. I was like, if ChatGPT is able to give me answers about what I'm going through, I think it's better than you telling a friend to tell another friend, and you want to keep certain things private, you know. So I think it's safe.
You don't think it's a safe space?
Yeah.
Okay.
In as much as we think we are just communicating with a bot, we should be mindful that it was engineered by someone. And whatever you tell it, it's being recorded in a database. You might not know who is privy to the info that you are putting into it. So, in as much as it's there to aid or help us, we should be very mindful of what we type or tell ChatGPT.
And when boredom strikes, some users turn ChatGPT into personal recipe books, use it to plan their day and all manner of stuff.
I kind of use it in my day-to-day activities, such as my personal development, academics.
In academia, ChatGPT is sometimes both the problem and the solution. While some students use it to write essays, others claim even their lecturers are now using it to mark them.
Yeah, it makes our work simple in the academic setting. I get a chance, maybe if I don't understand something in class, it can break it down into aspects for me to understand. And for the lecturers' aspect, because we are a lot, I think that it simplifies their work for them.
Though we have 24 hours in a day, but we have a lot on our table to actually execute. And so at times you just asking AI to help you kind of makes your day easy and stuff.
But with so many depending on ChatGPT for clarity, comedy and comforts, most experts are asking, are we feeding it with too much power and information?
One thing AI doesn't have is emotions, so that would be the wrong place to look at. But the circumstances that is required, yes.
So whether it's helping you pass an exam, write a breakup test, or create a recipe or your next viral skit, ChatGPT is here. But remember, it's a tool. You are still your own storyteller. Christabel Success-Trevor, TV3 News, Accra.
So watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. We have business after this break.
Treated perfume.
Welcome back to News 360 on TV3. Time now for business. Hello, Menu.
Hi, Martin.
Hi. We didn't expect to see you here. All right. What's happening in business?
Well, I don't know whether to call it good news or bad news, because there's been a call for haircuts on those that government owes, so they can maintain the recent stability that we've seen in the economy.
Another haircut?
It's just an advocate.
Okay, all right, sure. Give us the details.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the business segment on News 360. I am Menu Aful. Now, a financial expert is advocating for a haircut for contractors and suppliers owed by government. Chief Executive Officer of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, is cautioning that a full settlement of the 67.5 billion cedis debt could ignite significant inflationary pressures.
Government's substantial debt to contractors and suppliers has been a long-standing issue. Joe Jackson suggests that a haircut, a reduction in the total amount paid to creditors, while undoubtedly difficult for those owed, might be a necessary measure to balance the need for payment with the imperative of maintaining macroeconomic stability.
Government must keep to its commitment of spending less money, because we have agreed that if they spend money, it's like pouring fuel onto the fire, that inflation fire. Borrowing less, spending less on the cost of borrowing. There's already noise that the arrears will be paid. Hey, those arrears, if they are paid in full for everybody, that will be pouring fire into our inflation fight too. In fact, even though this opinion is unpopular, I'm saying let's give them a haircut.
Inflation has moved from 54.1% in December 2022 to 13.7% as of June 2025.
Fighting inflation is like fighting fire. The first thing you want to do is to pour water over it by reducing the amount of money that is available to spend. Second thing, apart from pouring water over it, you check to see whether, is there anything that can catch fire by the side by reducing government expenditure. We've done that because the government has reduced expenditure. The third thing you want to do is to make sure that the fire is not coming from outside. And the exchange rate has improved. Commodity prices have improved. So the fire is not being fed from outside. Finally, you pray. You say, oh Lord, let it rain so that this fire will stop. The Lord has answered our prayers. The rains have fallen. The food prices have increased. That's how we have fought inflation.
Government needs a balancing act as it begins payment of debts and maintaining macroeconomic stability.
Away from that, the Ghana Real Estate Development Association, GRDA, has called on government to put in place the necessary measures to ensure the smooth implementation of the 24-hour economy program. According to Executive Secretary of GRDA, Sami Amegaibo, developers are ready to adopt the program but are seeking infrastructure support to facilitate its success.
I'm supposed to deliver a number of housing units, and I have a set of workers, and they can produce so much. I can increase my output by adding another set so that they take over a shift from the previous one. All I have to do is to make arrangements and the necessary facilities that will make the night work. For example, security for the workers and then lighting system that will make it effective. And so for me, I think it's a nice opportunity. We just have to put our mind to it. We don't have to stay back and say, oh, wait there, we can't do it. So then we just, no. Look at the brighter side of the initiative and see where you are deficient. And then I'm sure the policy makes provision for us to assess certain aid and support to make it efficient. And with this arrangement in place, I think everybody must take opportunity and take advantage of the situation.
And now practitioners in quality, health, safety and environment are calling on authorities to institute laws to help guide and protect workers and their well-being. According to them, if proper laws are not instituted, the country will continue to lose its workforce in an unsafe working environment.
Working in a safe environment has been one of the key protocols that safety officers advocate for in the mining, construction, health, transport, among other sectors, there is the need to adhere to the protocols and laws to guide the sector. Developing quality health and safety environmental awards have been instituted to encourage institutions that are thriving and observing work safety. Commit Services were adjudged winners of quality and safety environment in the mining sector, while other companies in the health pharmaceutical won in the area of practice. The winners spoke to TV3.
Receiving this award will help us as a company and workers to continue to prioritize safety in all our doings in the work environment, which is paramount in all other things.
It's one thing that we've been trying a lot to do when it comes to safety. So we will just encourage ourselves to do more and probably say this is one of the many awards we'll be receiving, and it motivates us and inspires us as well.
The award initiators said their aim is to promote health and safety in the country.
To identify and publicly recognize individuals and institutions that have demonstrated exceptional dedication to public and environmental health as well as occupational safety.
It's time now to look at how the cedi is faring against other major trading currencies and how some of our key commodities are faring on the global market. And that's how we end the business segment on News 360. I am Menu. Our full sports news comes up next. Please stay with us.
Brought to you by Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Match day 1 of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations concluded on Monday where Mali beating Tanzania by 1-0, whilst Ghana's Black Queens lost 2-0 to defending champions South Africa. My colleague Akosia J, who has been following the tournament, provided an update and a summary of the opening round.
And Zambia's Copper Queens.
3 years after South Africa clinched the 2022 Women's African Cup of Nations title at the Prince Moale Abdullah Stadium in Rabat, the journey to crown a new champion, now competing for a redesigned trophy and a $1 million prize, has officially begun across 6 designated venues in Morocco. Match day 1 kicked off with host Morocco taking on Zambia at the Olympic Stadium in Rabat. In what many are calling the standout game of the opening round, the two sides played out an entertaining 2-2 draw, with standout performances from Barbara Banda, Rachel Kudananji and Ghislaine Shabak. Senegal made a strong statement as Mam Diop and Nguana Ndiaye each netted a brace in their dominant display against the in Rabat. 9-time champions Nigeria showcased their intent to claim a solid result against Tunisia. In another fixture, Algeria edged past 2022 quarter-finalists Botswana. Other stories where Brighton and Hove Albion winger Ibrahim Osman has joined League R side Auxerre on a season-long loan. The 20-year-old has joined the French side after spending the 2024-2025 season on loan at Feyenoord. Brighton signed the then 19-year-old from Danish club FC Nordsjælland in February 2024. He spent last season on loan in the Eredivisie, where he scored 4 goals and provided 3 assists in 32 games. Osman has also become a Ghana international since joining the Seagulls, making 2 appearances for the Black Stars. From one Ghanaian international to another, where Daniel Efie-Barnier has signed a 2-year deal with Swiss challenge side FC Aarau. The move comes after his contract with FC Zurich was terminated, paving the way for the former Heart of Oak side to join Aarau.
After an unsuccessful stint with Swiss first-tier side FC Zurich, Daniel Efie has taken a step backwards after joining FC Aarau on a 2-year deal, or maybe not. Barnier's 2021 Under-20 AFCON winning teammate Emmanuel Lesiam, who has struggled with injuries in the last few years, was given a short-term loan opportunity at Aarau last season and went on to play 11 out of 18 available games. Lesiam, now back with his parent club FC Basel, described the move as one that helped him regain his rhythm as he is poised to return to pre-season with the Basel first team. Last season, Barnier made just 4 league appearances for Zurich's under-21 side in the promotion league and recorded just 153 minutes for the senior team in the Swiss Super League. Aarau may well be the breath of fresh air he needs to regain some confidence. The club had an impressive league campaign last season, scoring 63 goals and going on to finish second out of 10 teams, narrowly missing out on the title to FC Thun. Although the team ultimately missed out on promotion to the Swiss Super League, they are deemed strong contenders to qualify in the 2025-26 campaign. For Efriye Banye, this move to Arao could be less of a step back and more of a strategic reset, which presents him with a chance to play consistently, rediscover his spark, and remind everyone why he was once regarded as one of Ghana's brightest young talents.
Well, that was a report by my colleague Bill Ishan. That's how we wrap up the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Ore Kwampofo.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by GTP Lifestyle
and Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Well, tonight we bring you the latest showbiz just from the local and international fronts.
The Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park recorded the highest number of visits in 2024 with a total of 333,233 visits, according to the latest report from Ghana's Tourism Authority. The report highlights Ghana's rich history and popular tourist destinations that continue to attract both domestic and international visitors.
The Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park was built in 1992 in honor of the first president of Ghana, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Among the top attractions was Kakum National Park, known for its iconic canopy walkway, which received 183,757 visits. Bunso Arboretum and Kumasi Zoo also featured prominently, recording 155,149 and 133,954 visits respectively. Fuse ODG's abrupt entrance on DJ AG's London livestream transformed a routine street-side DJ session into an electrifying urban spectacle. Passers-by paused, phones were raised, and the city's pulse synchronized with his energy. No stage lights and no ticket lines, just pure collective excitement. This moment captures exactly what Fuse's music is about: spontaneity, cultural pride, and breaking typical boundaries, blending London grit with Ghanaian rhythm. The short reel isn't just a clip, it's a snapshot of real connection, global roots, and the power of music in unexpected spaces.
You're still watching News 360. Time now for international news.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has opposed what he calls the unilateral higher trade tariffs imposed on his country by the U.S. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Monday that he would subject imports from South Africa to a new 30% tariff from 1st August. It is the only country from sub-Saharan Africa that Trump singled out in his announcement, reflecting his strained relationship with Ramaphosa's government. In a letter to Ramaphosa, Trump said South Africa's trade relationship with the U.S. has been unfortunately far from reciprocal. In his response, Ramaphosa maintained the 30% tariff is not an accurate representation of available trade data. Trump's decision is a huge blow to South Africa. The U.S. is its second biggest trading partner, and South Africa's automobile, farming, and textile sectors had duty-free access to the U.S. market under the African Growth and Opportunity Act. The first malaria treatment suitable for babies and very young children has been approved for use. It's expected to be rolled out in African countries within weeks. Until now, there have been no approved malaria drugs specially for babies. Instead, they have been treated with versions formulated for older children, which presents a risk of overdose. In 2023, the year for which the most recent figures are available, malaria was linked to around 597,000 deaths. Almost all of the deaths were in Africa, and around 3/4 of them were children under 5 years old.
And that's it for our package this evening. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, at 9 p.m., Beatrice Edo will come your way with Agenda. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Portia. Gabor. Do join Alfredo Cancer at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.